extensive notes around key elements. And so I always really enjoy coming down to the Farming Secrets HQ office and getting a bit of a download and a digest of some of the things that are hitting the newspapers and the media and the latest books. So this week I thought, why not sit down and let Hugo share that with you as well, so that way we can both get the information and the knowledge transferred that Hugo has collected, not only just in the recent newspapers, but his common thread of hearing the same thing over and over. So we're going to take a seat outside in nature. There's a few noises, but that all adds to the atmosphere, as Hugo Dislav from Farming Secrets explains to me, and also now you, about some of the latest news and trends that are happening in the world of ag and growing.
When I read papers, I get about 5 or so rural publications each month. One comes quarterly. So I look at the information. I sort of think, well, when I'm talking to our farmers, I'd like to pass on information that is appropriate to farmers and empower farmers. But what is quite clear that to me is that the more we can empower farmers, the more farmers can connect with customers, the more customers can connect with the farmers, and preferably with farmers who are producing healthy food that keeps people out of hospitals. But we also are only too pleased to talk to any farmer, irrespective of what level they're at. And what we find that repetitively, from going back many, many years, as Wendell Berry says, industry has stepped in, and industry is running the system, and the farmers are consistently being put under industry pressure to produce more, and often, as Wendell Berry says, at a cost that is not passed on to, well, the farmers are increasing their costs, increasing production, but increasing costs disproportionately, to the point that, as it's been said by Peter Andrews, in the 50s farmers were debt-free, or pretty well debt-free. Now farmers got to the point that banks will close in on them. So it's not a good situation. So the more the farmers could be independent, the better. Now here in this particular article, which I brought to my attention, is that there's a worry that the cost of fertilisers, thanks to the disruption of COVID, is escalating. Urea has nearly doubled in price. Other products have gone up dramatically, or close to double their price. Now that is a concern to farmers, but let's look at the farmers where it's not a concern to. And the farmers it's not a concern to, who have learned how to grow crops with using cosmic energy, using atmospheric particles, and basically connecting the universal energies with the soil and plant life and the soil life, connecting all those together. And what the tools are for this is what's written, we've got it in Farming Secrets. What the tools are is cover crops and the use of animals as a tool. Some areas that you can't use animals because, well, the farmer's actually filled up his dams, removed his water troughs, etc. So bringing back animals is harder. But as David Brandt in America found, that he could use cover crops to grow his crops. It's slower than using animals, but also Gabe Brown, who's used cover crops extensively, calls the cover crops armour, because that protects the soil. We filmed him where he says, I bet you I can grow a cover crop on your property. I'll bet you my property against your property that I can grow a cover crop on your property. In other words, there's no reason that you can't grow a cover crop on any farm in the world. This is agricultural farms. So there's better ways of farming. And if you're worried about fertilisers going out of the roof and not being able to plant, talk to us. We can direct you to consultants, we can direct you to the filming we've done with people already successful in that area, including Gabe Brown, and see for yourself and try a smaller area. We don't expect you to go cold turkey and change the whole farm. Although farmers have done that, we don't expect you to do that. Right, the next thing I would like to cover is Oh no, I'll go to the next paper, which is that there's a concern about frost damage. And what we found, there's frost damage in this particular paper, and what we have found that when farmers used fish and seaweed fertilizer, when we sold that product, that they didn't have frost damage, they didn't have rust problems either. So by using natural products, getting the cosmic energies and the soil life working together by using any aid that's necessary, whether it's a natural product, but note, if you're using synthetic fertilizer, they've got to be to an absolute minimum or made so that they're bioavailable, which we won't go down that track. But we've got farmers who have proven that they do not have problems with frost. And on that same paper, what there's a huge concern is that how Europe may reject our produce because it's got glyphosate and other chemicals in it. They already have said that unless you produce your canola for their biofuel, the way we want you to produce it, using environmental practices, that we won't take your canola. At the moment we're passing that area, but there is quite a concern as to how we can farm without using glyphosate and other poisons, which Europe is starting to put pressure on Australia. Well, again, you look at the farmers who are farming without the glyphosate, without the chemicals, and you go down that track. And while we're talking about that particular thing, in the next paper we'll look at differentiating your produce, because while you're farming in this more natural way, you are differentiating your produce. And what we found in the past, whether it's dairy farmers who could see the result very quickly, virtually daily, when they started feeding a grain that's produced with high quality nutrients, that their milk production goes up virtually daily as they feed their 2 to 8 kilos of grain or bought in fertiliser per cow per day. So dairy farmers know that, racehorse owners know that, and so we're going on to another subject, which is differentiating your produce. The more you can differentiate your produce, the better. And here's this Japanese company who's bought out Carlton United Brewery called Asahi, and Asahi is buying barley directly. And a couple of years ago I read where the brewers, the maltsters, did not want to take barley that had been desiccated. Now, if you don't know what desiccated is, these people are not farming. It basically means spraying the crop with a poison like glyphosate, especially glyphosate, well, that's the only one I know of that's been sprayed, to kill the crop so that the headers can come in and harvest it on the given day. So, and at the same time, as the maltsters found, it affected their barley brewing, and not only did it affect the barley brewing, I guess they wouldn't want poisons in their beer just in case it was detected as time went on. And then on the same basis, feedlotters a couple of years ago said that they would be paying more money for grain that wasn't desiccated. So the whole thing is this, that the more you can differentiate your produce for the customer, for the consumer, the better it is. So it's all about differentiating rather than following industry. And Ray, we'll go back to this paper here. There's an insert here which is about robotics. The industry again is pushing robotics onto farming as though it's the answer. And and maybe it is the answer, but every time a farmer has become more efficient, what has happened is the farmer in the end gets paid less money for his produce. Sorry folks, they've got a chainsaw in the area. We do live in a rainforest area. That's one of the privileges, but we do get trees falling down. Last Friday we had a quite severe storm and a neighbour's tree fell down. So I think now he's come back from work that he's hopping into his tree. Now we'll just keep talking. We're talking about robotics. Industries continually try to help farmers, but they're not. Well, I shouldn't say they're not. Farmers end up producing more, being more efficient, and the net result is farmers get paid less for their produce, or they're making less profit. When you consider this statement, which has been verified a few times, that it's either 80 or 70% of the world's population is fed from very small acreages, like 2 acres or 2 hectares. Doesn't matter, it's a very small. It's not the big farms that are feeding the world's population, it's smaller acreages. And not only that, there's a lot of women who actually produce the food. So I think men with their toys could look at the severity of, do you keep producing more? Do you go for for efficiency versus connecting with your client and differentiating your produce so that the astute buyer wants your produce, or you have got a produce that people want. So really, Ray, it is about the connection between the aware consumer and the farmer producing a high quality produce, because it's just happening everywhere. That JBS have put out a program where they want farmers who are custodians of the soil. They've got their 5 or so pillars of what they expect. They are paying farmers a premium for their for the beef and the lambs they are producing. So it comes both ways, either farmer driven or consumer driven, but more that farmers realise that, or question whether industry is helping them or not. And you get a situation in this paper again, they're breeding peas to field peas so that they have less problems. We have found when we're selling our fish fertiliser in Tasmania, when fish fertiliser was sprayed on peas, the peas were robust. They didn't have any mildew, so they didn't need any breeding to grow better. So getting back to basics, looking at plant nutrition rather than making the peas grow. And on that same subject, at the field day one day, going back quite a few years ago, a farmer called in and he said our area had a problem of grubs in the area. So the rep had been to the neighbouring farm, and he bounced into our farm and he said, "Oh, let's have a look at your crop. There's grubs in this area." And the farmer said, "Well, I'm not so sure." So they walked into his pea crop, this the field peas, and found that he had no grub problem. And the reason he puts down that he didn't have a grub product, he was using a mineral fertiliser. So when you looked at the base, the NPK, or the analysis of the mineral fertiliser, if you're using synthetic fertiliser, you would think that it was absolutely useless. Yet because the natural mineral fertiliser was getting soil life functioning, the plant was functioning properly, connecting with the cosmos, connecting with the soil life, he didn't have a problem. So again, industry steps in to produce a particular pea crop. Farmers have found there's no need. Just look after the soil, look after the conditions of the, well, if necessary, spray it with a vermicompost or fish fertiliser if the plant needs a bit of a help. So Ray, I hope, well, I do trust that if people look at Farming Secrets, what we have offered over the years, that there's a wealth of information to give the farmer confidence to move in a direction where they're in more control, rather than having industry just try to control them. Thank you.
All right, soil lovers. Well, that's another video from us at the Patch Farming Secrets HQ. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. We've got lots of videos like this on our Soil Learning Centre. There'll be links always around the videos, but if you head over to soillearningscentre.com, that is our learning hub with years and years of videos and interviews, and even now the latest podcast, Secrets of the Soils. All the videos are loaded there for you to continually dig deeper and learn more about how our soils functions. I hope any of the videos that you watch from Farming Secrets really sparks that interest, so that way you start thinking, I really want to know how the soil beneath my feet can actually heal the planet, reverse so many of the broken systems, and also grow nutrient-dense food. It's literally a win-win-win, win-win-win-win-win for everything above the ground if we just start nurturing the stuff below the ground. So with that, I really hope that we're inspiring you to really leave our soils better today than what they were yesterday. And with that, I'll let you head over to the Soil Learning Centre where you can keep digging deeper and getting your hands dirty and really understanding the wonderful world of our soil. Regen Ray for